Rainbows for All Children has a vast network and community of passionate individuals who herald our mission to provide free peer support groups to youth around the world. We got the opportunity to sit and chat with some of them through a series of interviews. Welcome to the Rainbows Chats. After the storm, we shine.
I'm Anjum Abbasi. I am a member of the Advisory Council of Rainbows, and I currently am the Director of Leadership Development at AbbVie. When I was in college, I was asked, when I was working a summer internship at a mental health facility in the Chicago suburbs, to see if I wanted to volunteer for this new upcoming group that was called Rainbows for All Children. And it was a support group for kids. And I signed up and went to training and became a facilitator. I think I was trained in 1995 or 96 to become a facilitator, and I facilitated for several years. When I had my kids in 2010, I just realized that I didn't have the time with work and with taking care of twins to be able to because a lot of the groups that I facilitated were in the evenings one night a week or one evening a week. So I didn't have that sort of flexibility in my schedule to kind of do that. And when I moved back to Chicago in 2012, at the end of 2012, I remembered that Rainbows was headquartered out of the Chicagoland area, and I reached out to the then governing board chairperson and asked if I could get involved in a board capacity. So when I got involved in 2013, I joined the governing board of Rainbows and then moved on in the governing board to be the secretary of the governing board and then eventually the chair of the governing board for I think almost 2 terms. And then I recently, in the last year and a half, rolled onto the advisory council. The personal tie with Rainbows didn't come right away. The tie to Rainbows and the tug for me to stay involved was seeing what a difference it made with kids. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was clear that although kids were experiencing loss, parents were still trying to figure out how to navigate and give them support, especially families that maybe didn't have the resources to do individual therapy or realize that a community may be better suited for their kid, whether that be in addition to individual counseling or therapy or, by itself, because they weren't sure where their kids were at on that journey of grief and loss. So my initial ties were just truly watching kids in the groups and seeing the connections they were making with one another and watching them evolve in their thinking to be present and work through their feelings and emotions. I think as time went on and I met people that had kids that had gone through the group by chance or through Rainbows and then being on the board and seeing what an impact it made directly to families, to parents, to children, it made me realize how much of an impact grief and loss have and how it shows up no matter what that grief or loss is caused by, that every kid experiences strong feelings, and those strong feelings, regardless of the cause of them, so oftentimes are related to grief and loss. And we as a culture and generally as a community haven't figured out how to navigate it. So to me, watching and advocating for a way to become allies on a journey that all of us take uniquely really struck with me. And then when I recently got divorced, I realized how important it was that all of these years with Rainbows enabled me to have really meaningful conversations with my kids, how I engage with 15-year-old girls on what the experience is and what normal, our new normal is, and what they could, should, might not feel. And for them and for me to realize, like, this is loss too. It's not just my loss of a spouse, it's their loss of their family unit and a certain level of security and stability and expectation. So Rainbows, I think, really gave me personally the tools, by being a facilitator, to make sure that I'm advocating for my kids and my kids' new experiences. I think the reason that Rainbows resonate so much with me is that all of us, in one way or another, feel like we're an other. We're an other because we are of a different race or a different religion or a different socioeconomic, stature than other people. And Rainbows sticks and Rainbows resonates with me because for a child going through some sort of grief or loss, they should never feel alone. That to me is a situation that we all, like humankind, can mitigate and support and gather around and create community. And it is really important to me that no kid going through grief and loss should ever feel alone. My dreams for Rainbows is that we continue to evolve with the times and with the changes and the struggling world that we're living in, and that a lot of Stephanie's dreams for what that could be for kids around the world to benefit from, and how we bring it to communities all around the world that need it. The more and more we can touch, the more and more facilitators or adults that really feel drawn to bringing kids together, to helping them learn how to communicate, but communicate in a way that they can learn empathy for one another and their uniqueness. And it's not the similarities that the empathy drives. I think it's the diversity in the experiences that drives so much of the empathy. And I hope that Stephanie's vision for being able to do that across all traumatic and tragic situations around the world can be reached. And if I had one wish, it's a local one. The local one is to have a permanent home for Rainbows. I participated as a facilitator at churches, at schools, at community centers. And I think it would be so important and so vital within our community here on the north side of the city to be able to house groups ourselves and to be able to bring our teams together and our boards together in our own home and be able to foster the culture that we've created as boards and as staff, and that the groups, that we can actually really have groups in our own buildings and create something so we can learn and evolve and bring more advanced programs and see what's really working on the ground. So my one wish is a home, a permanent home for Rainbows that we could be so lucky to be, endowed. But in general, just to reach more kids, around the world in really difficult situations that are navigating things through empathy of diverse experiences. Many people on the outside lose sight of how fun it is. The groups are fun. The kids get to do amazing sort of fun, creative activities that get to activate their minds and their emotions and engage in a different way. And I think we can overcome grief and loss and being othered through joy and companionship and creativity and just being present for one another. So we're a global community of people that are like-minded and really just generally enjoy one another, whether it's the kids, whether it's the parents, whether it's the facilitators, the site coordinators, or the board and staff.
Thanks for watching this installment of the Rainbows Chats. Follow us on social media and join our mission of creating communities of young people who are facing loss and uncertainty so that no one has to grieve alone. Together, we can create a world where after the storm, we shine.